statue of David by Donatello's missing.
Should we call the police?
Yes, immediately. Hello, you've reached the Florence City Police. How may we help? Yes, our statue of the David is missing from our museum.
Could you please give us a description of the statue, ma'am?
Donatello, the sculptor, was able to accurately show David's figure as a natural human body and also gave it personality, even though he lacked the educational background that many others had in this time period. Donatello was able to accurately show his figures as real beings with real thoughts and emotion. Even though David would technically be considered a myth, he's still shown as a real and emotional human being with a personality. In Gothic times, sculptures and paintings would often show little emotion or personality. Most would even have an almost blank stare. In the Dark Ages, no one was thought of as important or as an individual. Donatello was an earlier Renaissance sculptor. Therefore, he helped influence the art world by displaying his figures with more emotion. This was because human beings started to become viewed as more valuable in this time period. This is interesting due to the fact that Donatello and many other artists of the Renaissance would have been a lower class in their society. Because of this, Donatello lacked the humanist background many others had.
That's quite a bit of information, ma'am, but we'll be right over. Where was the sculpture?
Over here.
Oh.
He looks like a youthful boy right after his battle with Goliath, but he looked unsure instead of powerful, like some would expect.
We'll see what we can find.
Thank you. It was really popular since it was a piece of art from the early Renaissance. Therefore, it majorly influenced later art pieces. It displayed many features of both Greek and Roman art. He also had a contrapposto way of standing. Freestanding statues were abolished by the church in the Middle Ages because it was a place for demons that apparently had inhabited them. The fact that David was freestanding and also nude in a time so close to the Gothic age was groundbreaking.
What is the big deal with David being nude, and what is contrapposto standing?
Being nude showed David more naturally. It showed him with youthful beauty because David, in fact, was a younger male. Contrapposto is a more relaxed way of standing that showed David more naturally and relatable. David was the first freestanding statue of the Renaissance. This was groundbreaking and it showed Donatello's work with much more individuality and allowed the viewer to focus more on the art rather than what's around it.
Whoa, what's this? And why does it have a number engraved into it? It looks like bronze.
Maybe it's a address or a phone number or something.
We should follow it and see where it leads.
I'll call the number and see if anyone picks up. Hello? Yeah. Uh-huh. It sounded kind of like Rena.
Renaissance? Oh, I know where she lives. Let's go.
Okay, we'll see what we can find.
Sounds like a good plan.
We received a tip that you might have been the one who stole the David statue. Do you know anything about this? We have a warrant to search your home.
Goodness, I'm sure I was framed.
Have you seen the sculpture? Do you know where he is? Is he here?
You mean the tall, muscular man made of marble shown before his battle with Goliath? Michelangelo used mathematics to make the David statue perfect, almost like how the Greeks used the golden ratio. Michelangelo also portrayed David in a way that has never been done prior to his sculpture. All the sculptures of David were of him after the battle, but Michelangelo's sculpture is him entering battle. Michelangelo sculpted a look of determination on his face, which many could relate to. Michelangelo also sculpted a David in a position called contrapposto, which is an asymmetrical position where the arms contrast the legs. This makes the sculpture look more natural instead of a lifeless stone.
Thank you for your time, ma'am. That is a statue of David, but not the one we're looking for. That one is by Michelangelo, and we want the one by Donatello. This is interesting, though, because many sculptors in Greek and Roman times wanted to make every detail perfect. Many artists of the Renaissance are inspired by this, including Michelangelo. He also included many details of humanism with his intense facial expressions in his sculptures. I think as long as we find them, they're pretty priceless.
Yeah.
Hey, janitor! You can't clean here! This is a crime scene!
I'm sorry, I was just doing my job.
Another sculpture was stolen. Now it's Michelangelo's Pieta. The Pieta was a beautiful sculpture of Mary holding her dead son after he was killed on the cross. This sculpture was commissioned by a French cardinal. The Pieta was made in a way which connects regular people to God. It shows Mary and Jesus as human. This sculpture shows the ones who are still against the church that there is another side of Jesus, a side that wasn't shown in the Dark Ages. Michelangelo also made the Pieta beautiful. Mary is holding her dead son and grieving, but she looks beautiful while doing so. Even the way Jesus is draped over her looks graceful. Michelangelo wanted to show regular people that humans are beautiful.
Now we have to find another sculpture, but that's nothing we can't handle.
Hey, look, I found another clue. It says, David isn't the only thing I stole.
I think these crimes are related. The same person must have stole both.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's go try to find them.
Lorenzo Ghiberti's Gates of Paradise has been stolen too. Ghiberti used old architecture to incorporate the past into his sculpture. Ghiberti was able to experiment with many different art techniques and forms during the creation of the doors. He added perspective and depth to the Gates of Paradise to make the sculpture seem more realistic, so more citizens can connect with it. The Gates of Paradise represented the development of mankind's thoughts on the nature of humans and was to be the east doors to the baptistry of St. John, right in the center of Florence, Italy.
Maybe there's a connection between all these pieces. I wonder what they all have in common.
Yeah.
All artworks are from the Renaissance period and have references to the past. Like the Gates of Paradise has references to Roman architecture and the Bible. And Donatello's David has references to the Bible story of David's battle with Goliath. And Michelangelo's Pieta has references to Mary's love and sadness for her son Jesus after he died.
What about the artist's styles and techniques?
Michelangelo gave Mary readable facial expressions, and to make her bigger without it seem obvious, he put multiple folds in her dress. Donatello used many Greek and Roman techniques, like a contrapposto way of standing, vivid facial expressions, and the fact that he is nude. Ghiberti combined modern and Gothic styles in his sculpture and used some innovative techniques like perspective.
They all have references to the past. Maybe they would be in the history section of the library.
The closest one is like a mile away.
Let's go check it out.
If you find anything, let me know.
Will do.
Oh, here's some sculptures.
That one looks like Zucchine by Donatello.
Yeah, it must be from other museums.
Zucchine shows many forms of being an individualized character. He has a long face, which is tilted down, and a hand inadvertently thrust at his belt. It even seems like he has his own perspective on the world.
Wow, look at Moses by Michelangelo.
A sculpture of intricate detail and strong emotion, it almost looks like it is living because of the active position it is sitting in. Michelangelo is good at making the sculptures look living. Michelangelo's sculptures tell a story well. Sculptures from the time period before seem to look lifeless and still. Moses had lots of energy and power in the Bible story, so Michelangelo portrayed him in the way. When people look at Moses, they see a story with emotion. Michelangelo sculptured Moses as he thought God would have wanted. Seeing an almost lifelike human version of a powerful Moses changed the way the citizens of Florence saw themselves and how they saw God.
Here's St. John the Evangelist, one of Donatello's other religious sculptures.
Oh.
In opposition to David, which was one of the first full standing statues of the entire human body in the Renaissance, St. John the Evangelist is created with no back. By giving the figure no back, Donatello foregrounded those aspects of St. John's person he wished to highlight. Its eyes and human qualities attracted people to it. Donatello felt like he needed to put more attention into adding extra detail to the figure that he perceived crucial. Most of these details made St. John look like a regular human and nothing more, rather than making him look higher above average people like in the Gothic ages. Donatello displays St. John as a religious and pious man. St. John is holding a book with much value and support that most people think is the Bible.
Look, two of Michelangelo's sculptures, Dying Slave and Rebellious Slave. The dying slave appears to be dying, but he looks peaceful. The rebellious slave looks frustrated and tired. These sculptures were both left unfinished, but they still tell a good story. There has been many theories on what these sculptures mean, but what they really mean doesn't matter because they tell a story. Nearly everyone can relate to the emotion on the sculptures' faces. Having sculptures relate to people is amazing, and Michelangelo was able to make his sculptures like that again and again.
Whoa, there's Donatello's Guatemala.
It shows no Christian values, unlike most Gothic pieces of art, but it does, however, show many classical features of art and much inspiration from Roman statues. Some classical parts are the Gorgon's head and breastplate instead of regular 15th century armor. It also had no helmet, which was very improper in 1500s armor. It was also common in Roman art to have equestrian-themed statues.
Look, here's a couple of our own. Let's load them and then do some investigating.
Yeah, sounds good.
Wait. What? You can't just steal my sculpture.
Your sculpture? These were stolen from the museum a couple weeks ago.
Fine, take them.
How and why did you decide to steal a sculpture?
Yeah, punk, why'd you steal sculptures?
I hired the janitor of the museum to steal them for me. No one ever comes to the library anymore. No one wants to read a book when they can just simply go and look at the Renaissance sculptures in person. I thought having them here would build publicity. The way they show Renaissance values through art is more appealing to people than taking the time to read a book. The way Donatello's David was three-dimensional and accurately represents the human body and communicates a message to the viewers admiring it. Everyone was often left awestruck with his realistic representation of the human body. David does not look super confident and victorious like some may expect. Instead, he looks like how a boy would look while facing a giant, a bit afraid and unsure. In Michelangelo's Pieta, Michelangelo made it beautiful. Mary is holding her dead son and grieving, but she looks beautiful while doing so. Even the way Jesus is draped over her looks graceful. Michelangelo wants to show regular people that humans are beautiful and wonderful because they were made by God. People started to be more creative and do things other than going to church as well. And Ghiberti's Gates of Paradise changed art without it seeming like he had influenced anything. Ghiberti blended the Renaissance and medieval time periods wonderfully. Ghiberti made it look like he'd painted the background of a painting instead of it being a sculpture, while the perspective added to the flow of the doors more than anything else. The landscape and architecture made it have the depth of a painting.
I guess those reasons are okay.
But still, you're going to jail, punk. Do the crime, you do the time.
Now we just gotta find the doors.
Yeah,
Where do you think they would be?
I don't know, but we gotta find them.
Here, she used them as her office
Yeah.
doors. Let's unhinge them quick while we still can.
Thanks for returning our sculptures back to the museum.
No problem. It was easy.